Steelers Nation, Steelers Country, whatever you want to call it. We're back with an all-new episode of Steelers Crazy. I am JY. This is Mike. A sick podcast, a sick production. We're going to be going all year round. And I just want to say one thing to the Cowboys fans out there. You may be America's team, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are the world team, because when I look around, I see all these fan bases from all over the world coming together and united for the black and gold. And that's what makes this so amazing, to cover the Steelers all year round right here on Steelers Crazy Sick Podcast. Mike, how are you?
I'm good. I feel better now after that jolt of energy you gave me. The world's team. Wow, I've been to a Steeler bar in Italy. We have Steelers fans over there in Austria, Germany, Turkey, pretty much everywhere. So I think that is justified, bro.
Yeah, in Canada, we're going to turn Sammy into 1-2. Speaking of that, go ahead, Sammy, roll that thing.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Aaron Smith shields. Flacco, Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
I'm just trying to keep the excitement going, because I wish every year that we were in the Super Bowl. I was hoping that Kenny Pickett would have got the Pro Bowl nod this year. I mean, they're calling up everyone now. Like I said off air, they're going to start calling practice squad guys that compete in the skill competition.
I think he might have. I think it might come out that he rejected it. I would be shocked if it didn't. Like Tyler Huntley. First of all, no offense to Tyler Huntley. Like,
great quarterback.
And good probably a great guy. Like, at the end of the day, probably a really great guy.
But it's like, come on, man.
If I was asked for the Pro Bowl and I'm Tyler Huntley, of course I'm going to go.
Yeah.
But he's getting crushed now on social media because the guy threw 2 touchdowns all season. So that's an NFL problem still once more. The Pro Bowl at this point is pretty much a joke. It's definitely not a representation of the best players in professional football. It's more of a representation of guys that didn't go on vacation
popularity
with their family. Yeah, right after the season and want to take a trip somewhere with teammates and whatnot to play some flag football.
Yeah, so we are going to switch it up because we have a special guest coming on Thursday. So today is Tuesday. So what we're going to do is stock up and stock down Steelers edition. Well, of course, Steelers edition, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course. Stock up, stock down. Right now, the Eagles and Chiefs stocks are both up, of course. Happy for those fan bases. Who are you rooting for? Do you know yet? I have no idea who I'm going to root for. I really don't.
I mean, listen, I just, it's fun going back and forth with football fans. A lot of people take it to heart. Like, I get some very nasty messages, like when I just say, like Jalen Hurts isn't that good. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is good. I just think he's a little overrated. I think that it's Patrick Mahomes' year. I'm rooting for the Chiefs simply because Patrick Mahomes is an easy guy to root for, and I can't root for a football team in the same state as me. The Steelers own the Keystone State. The Eagles have a great team, but I kind of wanted to get your take on this before we get into Steelers stock up and stock down. Was that not the easiest path in the NFC ever to the Super Bowl? You have the bye week, okay? And then you play the Giants, which they kind of look fraudulent. And then you play, a 8th string quarterback when Brock Purdy goes down, and it wasn't even a game. I turned it off. Yeah, man, I just think that Patrick Mahomes has something to prove. They changed it back to Arrowhead Stadium, and our guy Sky Moore, shout out to him from New Kensington. So hoping that he can get a Super Bowl. And Juju, it's no bad blood.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really think the Steelers miss him. Honestly, I think we're fine with George Pickens and the guys that we got. But Juju is a great guy on and off the field. So hey, man, go out there and win the Super Bowl. The 49ers can't win it and tie the Steelers. So, I mean, there's a little bit of good there. But I was rooting for the 49ers as well. But I'm going to go with Chiefs just because I can't root for another Pennsylvania team.
Yeah, I'll say 2 things when it comes to the Eagles. One, yes, I agree. The easiest path to the Super Bowl, at least in a long time. I haven't gone back and look at every team's schedule. They also had a week regular season schedule. If you go back and look at it, not a lot of playoff teams on that schedule. But I'm going to defend them a little bit. I've been in some arguments with some friends and folks over this the last couple of days anyway. What do you want them to do? Like, they beat the people in front of them. Do you want them to apologize for it? Like, do you want them to go back and say, you know what, let's cancel this win against the Giants and maybe swap the Vikings with them because they're a better team? They can't do anything about it. Like, they played an easy schedule, of course, but they won those games. It's not their fault whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they earned it, and they're good on all sides of the ball, and I think that's what makes Jalen Hurts play the way he does, because I think if you put him on another team that has an average offensive line, an average defense, an average running back, I don't think you're going to get the same outcome. And that's just So let's do stock up and stock down. Go ahead, Sammy, bring it in.
Steelers stock. Up or down?
All right. Well, we don't have Vanna White, so I guess you just have JY and Mike Nicastro. So go ahead and bring on the first contestant.
Dun, 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 dun.
Mike Tomlin. Well, I think that we agree on this, but after starting the season 2-6 and ending again with a winning record, a non-losing season, I'm going to say that a lot of people want to say that the stock's down because, they missed the playoffs. But I mean, with what he was given, Kenny Pickett battling concussions, new offensive line, younger team, injuries, I'm going to say stock up for Mike Tomlin.
I'm going to say stock stagnant. I know I'm cheating a little bit. Those aren't the rules of the game. It's not stock up, down, and neutral, but I'm going to say stock neutral because Mike Tomlin is definitely not down, but he did what he does. He went over 500. Right. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to put him in this category where, he won a playoff game. Of course, there were a lot of improvements. What Kenny Pickett was able to do down the stretch. You're right. So many injuries. TJ Watt, Najee Harris at the beginning of the season, overcoming those to get this team to a winning record. Incredibly impressive. But at the same time, like we always say, the standard is not a 500 record, even though I think he's a good coach. I think it's still very impressive. We are spoiled. But at the end of the day, he's definitely not stock down. But I'm going to say his stock isn't too much higher. He did what he does, right? He met the Mike Tomlin standard, maybe not the Steelers standard. So I'm saying stock staying the same.
All right. I agree. And just think if, a 9-8, if you're the Detroit Lions who had a good year, that's like winning the Super Bowl for them. So again, we're spoiled over here in Pittsburgh, but again, the standard is the standard. Sammy, bring in the next contestant.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that drum roll. Wow. I didn't expect that. I did not expect that at all.
Obviously, I think that it's another stock up just because, the guy shows season on and off the field. This is a Walter Payton Award recipient. I'm not sure if they announced the winner of that, but, we got to meet Cam a few times and, just here in Pittsburgh. And he is just honestly one of the nicest people that you'll ever meet and just does so much for the Pittsburgh community. And then you got a guy who's, a veteran. I'm not sure the amount of years he's been in the league, but he's been here for a while and just shows that he's putting up the numbers and he's just a workhorse. He's a good motivator. He's what you look for as a teammate. He can amp up the defense and, rally the younger guys to get them going. So I'm going to go stock up for Cam Hayward.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's a guy I'm never going to doubt ever. Like, that's one of those dudes, like how I felt with Big Ben. Throw him in there at the age 52 and I'm going to be like, he can do it because I've seen Ben do it. It's the only thing I've ever seen is him play strong football. So I think he had another great year. I'll say going into next season, maybe stock down a little bit just because at some point Father Time catches up to every single person, right? It's inevitable. Yeah. Look at Tom Brady this past season. Look at some great defensive players, right, over the past years. Father Time catches up to you. I think he's going to be 33 or maybe 34. Steelers obviously need to improve their defensive line regardless, just so he can, take less snaps. Less reps is going to be very important to keep Cam fresh. I think he's under contract for another 2 years to 2025, so he's going to be a Steeler until then. I don't know how much better he's going to get. If I had to, place a bet, is he going to be the same all-pro player? I would say probably not. But how do you bet against him? It's Cam Hayward.
Yeah, I agree. I think someone said on the story on yinzercrazy.com I posted, and they said, I think Cam's going to play till he's 44. I don't know about that, especially at that position, but if anyone can do it, I think that it's him. All right, next. Go ahead, Sammy. Oh, man.
All right, we're going to agree. I already know it.
Yeah, I mean, when his rookie season, funny story, I'll tell real quick. I was at the Milkshake Factory, and this was right before he was heading over at the time it was Heinz Field, and ran into him. And my wife was happy because she got a milkshake out of it. But he was doing his promo tour, and we seen NFL films. Nicest guy ever, Devin Bush, and just was really excited. Had a stellar rookie season, and this everyone thought that this was the second coming of Ryan Shazier, but the torn ACL, man, I don't know if that's what it is, but he just, in all his interviews and everything, the man just doesn't seem like he cares about football anymore. I think that 93.7 The Fan, they interviewed him at training camp, and he said something like, well, you think you'll be back with the Steelers? And he was like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. I'll still be playing in the NFL. Like, that type of attitude right there. I wouldn't want someone like that on my team. I don't know what it's like to come back and play with a torn ACL. I know our friend Chris Wormley is going to have to do that, and we wish him the best of luck. And I wish Devin Bush the best of luck, but I think his days in the black and gold are done. I don't want to put him up there with Artie Burns, but and Jarvis Jones, but he's definitely up there, because I think that they go up for the draft pick with him, I believe.
Devin, yeah, they traded up with the Broncos. At the time, that's literally what everybody wanted. Like, he was the guy on their board. I think it was him and Devin White out of LSU were the two top inside linebackers, and they needed to fill that position in Ryan Shazier's absence. I'm completely with you, man. I don't know him personally. I really don't. So it's hard for me to make a judgment on his character, but he did rub me the wrong way. Sort of similar to what you were saying. It's not just the comments he made in training camp that you mentioned. It's some actions that he took to social media. And it doesn't feel like he cares about football. Once again, I'm putting words in his mouth probably, but to have a guy whose stock was already trending very much downward after last season, have his stock once again continue to go down is not good. And I'm with you. I think his days are numbered in the black and gold. Wish him well. And if he's back next season somehow, I'll still continue to root for him, obviously. But stock down, man. That's I think pretty much common sense at this point.
Yeah. All right, Sammy.
Drum roll. Ooh,
Cam Sutton. All right.
I'll jump at it. Man, I'll take it.
Go ahead.
Cam Sutton had a great year, a phenomenal year. For a long time, Steelers fans and media like us were talking about the loss of Mike Hilton as a slot corner and the fact that the Steelers really messed up by not re-signing him. Cam Sutton was out of position for a long time in his career. We learned that. They had him on the outside playing corner, and I think on the outside he was just an average corner in the NFL. They moved him to the slot primarily last season, and he excelled. He became an above-average corner in the NFL. I think he had a phenomenal year. The guy was a ball hawk, made some critical plays that helped the Steelers win some really, really close games. He's also a free agent. So because his stock is up, that means his wallet is probably going to be up. His checkbook's going to command more. But we've talked to some people in and around the Steelers. We've talked to some fans. We've asked who the number one priority on their list is to bring back to Pittsburgh. And a lot have said Cam Sutton. So I think this might be another one we're in agreement with because Cam, he balled out.
Yeah, I think that they don't want to regret what happened with Mike Hilton. I'm sure that they miss him, and Cam Sutton has been one of the most consistent Steelers this year and over the years. So I say sign him, man. Give him a blank check, just along with Alex Highsmith too. Give him a blank check as well.
All right, Sammy. Let's see the next one. We still have no idea who these are. We got to admit it. Oh, nice. All right, Big Naj. Stock up for me, but also I think his stock is up because the Steelers strengthened the backup running back position. Jaylen Warren was such a beast this past year, and I know we're not talking about him right now. We're talking Najee, but he allowed Najee to be great, I think. at least in the second half of that season, because he entered the season with a plate in his foot. He had that foot injury. People were calling him Trent Richardson, saying he was the worst first-round draft pick in Steelers history, literally ahead of Devin Bush. People were already like taking that hot take. And I think he showed in the second half that he has the ability to be a top 10, if not top 5 running back in this league for 5 to 10 years. Another guy who I think is going to be extremely durable. I mean, look how freaking in shape he always is. He looks like the Hulk out there, pulverizing people. So his stock is up, but it's because I think Jaylen Warren helped that stock a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that he was playing injured. And once he got that played out, he started running downfield better. You just seen flashes of who he can really be. So and he's such a great guy. I mean, the Steelers are so lucky. I don't know if it's the organization, but I would say like 90% of the players on this team on and off the field are just, amazing people in the community. And I think that just goes to show you that, you could be the Cleveland Browns. Look at their whole organization. And we are the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we take pride in that.
Facts.
Go ahead, Sammy. Miles Jack, man, I honestly forgot he even played for us, to be honest with you. I know he had a few good games, but I just don't think that he really showed that much. I think it was in preseason where I seen the most of him. I was excited about the signing. I think that he was a great player. I just really think that it didn't pan out in Pittsburgh for him. That's just me personally. So I'm going to give him a stock down.
Here's what I'll say about Miles Jack, and then we'll move on to the next. We had an article on yinzercrazy.com today. Check it out if you've never read that Steelers blog, Pittsburgh sports blog, I should say. And I'm the editor. I went to use a picture of Miles Jack for the photo, the thumbnail photo of the article. And so I'm on Google Images, much like I'm sure Sammy and Nanello were, to find that image we just used. And I'm typing Miles Jack. And I don't see any photos of him for the Steelers popping up. I'm like, wait a minute. Just kind of thought the same thing you did. Why aren't there any photos of him popping up with the Steelers? So I look up Miles Jack Steelers specifically. And I've used the exact same photo they just used on that thumbnail that they pulled up.
Because it was the only one.
I mean, you want to talk about invisibility? I could not believe that. And the first thing that came to my mind was like, yeah, the guy didn't make enough splash plays and you barely heard his name. So he probably were taking a lot of pictures and publishing a lot of pictures of Miles Jack. So I think you already know my answer.
Yeah, stock down. Sorry, Miles. Go ahead, Sammy. Levi Wallace.
Wow, I was giving a thumbs down. what a picture to use.
Oh man, I'm gonna go stock up. I think that he had a decent season. He had I think that Minka steals a lot of the shine on the Steelers defense because he just comes up with the most clutch plays. So when you think of the Steelers defense, you immediately think of Minka Fitzpatrick. But Levi Wallace is, he is what he is, man. It's kind of the same as like Terrell Edmonds. It's not going to be like the, wow, look at this superstar. It's going to be, the guy that gives you what you need on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that he is a good fit for the Steelers.
He was such a steal in free agency. He knew Minka from Alabama. These guys both played at the same school. He was good for Buffalo last year. A lot of people expected him to be great, which I'm with you. I think was unfair.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, he's more of a cornerback 2. He's not a cornerback 1. So I think if those were the expectations, he surpassed them. If people were expecting him to come in here and be Joe Hayden, like Joe Hayden was when the Steelers first picked him up, he wasn't that. But Hayden, a much better player, a much more polished player, a guy that had been doing it for a long time, a lot longer than Levi has. So I trusted Levi towards the end. I didn't trust Akello Weatherspoon. That's for sure. James Pierre, I did not trust one bit. So I think Levi was good. I'll give him a stock up, and hopefully next year he can build upon that.
All right, Sammy, we got another one. TJ Watt. Well,
I'll take it. I'm going to throw you off here. Stock down. All right, for me with TJ Watt. And it's simply because of this. His 2022 season, for me, was maybe the best defensive season I've ever seen in my entire life, right? So how do you compare to that? The guy comes back and he obviously gets hurt. But when he's on the field, he's still one of the best players in the entire league. For my money, maybe one of the best defensive players still in the entire league. So it's hilarious that I think I'm saying stock down. A little bit ironic there for sure, naturally, because he's still one of the best players, as I said, in the National Football League. But it's like when you go get a filet mignon somewhere and it's perfectly cooked and it's crisp and juicy, and then you go get a filet mignon somewhere else and it's just maybe a little underdone, but it's still terrific and crisp and juicy. You got to rank the first one ahead and say the second one, the stock is down on that because it just wasn't as good, even though they're both damn near perfection.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that. It's like, what are you going to compare, that to? That's you're never going to, I mean, hopefully he can surpass that, but it's going to be tough. So we have one more stock up or stock down. Go ahead, Sammy. Kenny Pickett. Well, the start of the season, I'm going to say that it was a stock down, but I'm also going to say it was a stock down because Steeler Nation just needs to sit back in their recliner and enjoy the game. I think Kenny Pickett showed that he can be a good quarterback in this league. Again, I'm not saying Kenny Pickett is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I do believe Kenny Pickett can win multiple Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll say that again. I truly believe that Kenny Pickett can win multiple Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers simply because our defense, the offensive line, and a great running game. And he stopped turning over the ball. And that's the most important thing as a quarterback. We've seen it with Brock Purdy. Hopefully that he gets well. And that's exactly what the 49ers were until, he got injured, is they relied on the defense in the running game. And, look where it got him. So I'm going to say stock through the roof for Kenny Pickett. And I am excited for the 2023 season because I think the Steelers will be back in the playoffs.
Stock up for Kenny Pickett. But if you're going to force me to buy two stocks at once, and the stock he comes with is Matt Canada, I would say stock down. I'm passing on that stock overall. If these two are a combo platter, I don't know if Kenny Pickett is stock up. Something that I think I want to point out, though, before next season is that Kenny Pickett is going to make mistakes that aren't Matt Canada's fault. I think this is really important that Steelers Twitter and pretty much everybody who follows the Steelers needs to understand. Kenny Pickett's going to get sacked in week 1 where he holds the ball too long, and people are going to say, can you believe Matt Canada drew up that concept? The receivers didn't get open. What a terrible job Matt Canada did. Kenny Pickett, maybe at some point, is going to throw a really, really bad interception. I mean, it happens to literally everybody, Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. And you know what people are going to say? They're going to say, I cannot believe Matt Canada put him in that situation to throw the ball on 2nd and 7. So not everything is Matt Canada's fault. Just 98.6% of things.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, football, you never know what happens. People just, people are going to complain every interception, every drop pass. I mean, again, these guys are professionals. You just got to get up there and go back at it. And
stock up, Sick Podcast. Stock up, way up.
Yeah, you're watching the Steelers Crazy Sick Podcast. Make sure you subscribe. I'm Jordan York. This is Mike. And we'll be back with a special guest to break down on Thursday. We thank
Shelby Cassesi. We're excited. Yes. Shelby Cassesi will be joining us.
93.7 The Fan. And we're going to be doing this all year round. I know I keep saying this, but I just want you guys to stick around with us, and you can agree, disagree, but at the end of the day, it's here we go Steelers. Go ahead, Sammy, roll that thing. We'll see you on Thursday.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.